Hello everyone, this is CJ Novo 992 and today we're back with another brand new video. Today's video we are here as always to break down, react and discuss to the latest Rangers game. A Rangers game, by the way, that yes, we didn't go ahead and get a victory in the latest Old Firm game, as it's only 7 out of the 9 possible points available versus Celtic this year. Wee bit disappointing with that, probably should have been the actual 9. But I did go ahead and see Alfredo Morelos get his goal, get his moment, and scratch off another one of the DA chances now obsolete. And it's honestly that fact that really tickles me, it really gets the plums plumping, because we know that man Alfredo frickin' Morelos lives rent-free in their heads. So the fact that he is the one to equalise at Celtic Park to maintain Rangers' undefeated season, taking away the only hope. I know they've got another chance later on in the season, but their only hope of a soft smile, not even a smile, their only glimmer of happiness and what was supposed to be their biggest season in their history has been once again ripped away, and it's been ripped away from your boy Alfredo Morelos. Oh my god, Quentin Tarantino would get an Oscar for all of this. So I'm in a good mood, ladies and gentlemen, because that result right there was better for us than it was for them. But again, I'm not going to sit here, take the top off and start doing helicopters with my t-shirt at the fact that we drew the game. But for me, I can see positives in that game of football in this season so far, because we had 2 very difficult games that we just had to play versus Slavia Prague. They had 2 weeks off today, nothing but prepare for this game of football, and it was their biggest game of the season. It wasn't even our biggest game of the week, and I think you could see that with the way the intensity was, especially in the first couple of minutes of that game. But I'm in a good mood, ladies and gentlemen. I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying Twitter. I'm enjoying the atmosphere, and I'm enjoying being able to once again sit here and recap and react to this title-winning champions of Scotland Rangers side. And I think given the fact that the smile's getting wider and wider now that I've said the old champions of Scotland, I think now is the perfect time before we go in to the game recap to take a brief second at the start of today's video to do nothing else but thank you for all your support, because now, ladies and gentlemen, our channel has reached 48,000 subscribers. That is incredible, nation. Thank you so much for tuning in, getting involved, putting comments in and subscribing to the channel. It's honestly unbelievable, and I love sitting here and doing this. It's been a fantastic year, ladies and gentlemen. So before we go any further on, I just want to thank you all for subscribing and helping us on our way to now 48k. Yes, the dream is 55k, ladies and gentlemen, but I'll never get lost and I'll never take for granted any of the numbers we've hit, because we've just hit 48k. And I just wanted to start off today's video for thanking every single oneys for helping making that possible. But I'm sure a lot of people came for the football, and you want to hear the jabs, you want to hear the one-liners, you want to hear the game recap. So let's transition into it then, shall we? And I think when we saw the starting 11 with Rangers, we were, I would say happy, I'd say confident, because it was pretty much the team that we were expecting to see. The only question mark was going to be down that right-hand side, and that right-hand side of Rangers has been the problem over the last 2 games that we've played over the both legs versus Slavia Prague. And in this game very early on, whether it was Patterson who was playing in the previous games or Balogun, it was still shown to be a problem down that right hand side, because Celtic clearly watched us and spent the 2 weeks where they didn't kick a football preparing and getting ready for this game, and they clearly had one game planned in mind, and it was to try and copy what Slavia Prague done on the park and how they went about and hurt Rangers, and that was gone down that right hand side, taking advantage in the midfield on that side and the lack of support and the lack of cover, and just go ham. So it's no surprise, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm sitting here saying to you that the first goal in this Old Firm came in the 23rd minute after, I would say it was a back and forth opening 20 minutes where there was almost bits, almost little maybes here. We had a wee header that was easily saved for a Morelos. He had a shot that was kind of about 8 mile air the bar. It was a back and forth opening 20 minutes, but not a major opportunity. It's got to be said, the first true major opportunity in the game was the goal, as we just said there in the 23rd minute, when they, no surprise, come down that right hand side. It's just a simple ball down behind the right hand side of Leon Balogun. Edouard does very well to run in behind, and his cross is brilliant. It's in a very dangerous position, and Hollander unfortunately cannot stop El Yunusi for giving a diving header, and it ends up going past Alan McGregor. And that was scary at that point, because the whole game they just showed they were going down that right hand side, and I went, oh no, if we didn't adjust, this could get ugly. And if I'm being honest, it nearly did, because once again, just 3 minutes later, down that right hand side, skipping past the midfield, going down past Leon Balogun, El Yunusi does well to kind of work his way into the box. I don't know how he's still on his feet, at this point because it looks like the ball's gone in between him like he's going to trip, but he somehow does a back heel. It goes all the way and finds Edouard at the back post, and I'm like, you are kidding me. You're not that lucky that you're just going to rebound off your legs and it's go back to Edouard at the back post. He's lining up to shoot. I'm saying, oh Christ almighty, we need a McGregor moment already. And Barisic, goes to put a challenge in, but then he pulls out and he doesn't make any contact with him. But for whatever reason that will only be known to Edouard himself, instead of pulling the trigger when he's got a clear shot on goal, he tries to take another touch into the box, and then he just throws himself into the ground and clearly, and I mean clearly, dives. You talk about Stonewaller in your post-match conference there, Scott Brown. The only Stonewaller that was there is that as a clear and obvious dive, and I didn't understand it because he's clear and goal. But that's something we've talked about a lot. Edouard's a very good football player, but he always likes that extra touch or a wee touch or a wee nutmeg or a wee cut inside before he shoots. He's very cute, he's very niche with the football, and this time it just caught up with him, and I don't know why he's threw himself into the ground, because that was a chance to go 2-0 up versus Rangers at Parkhead, but the boy dived, and that is exactly what happened. I didn't understand this argument, even at half-time. Like, I was absolutely baffled, right? They go to Chris Boyd, he obviously rubbishes it, there's no penalty kick because he's speaking facts, ladies and gentlemen, but then the host goes, I know there was no contact, but I'm playing devil's advocate. Is there an argument for a penalty? I'm sorry, what? Like, am I just taking crazy pills? Have I just ate too many of the Cadbury £8.55 celebration chocolate bars that I didn't understand the world of football anymore? That even if you didn't touch the plane, there's no contacts in the box, it can somehow be an argument for a penalty? Okay. Pish, ladies and gentlemen, didn't let their tears or deflection tactics or greeting wee tweets about this or that distract you from the fact that Edouard had a clear shot and goal. He chose not to, took another touch, and then he dived. And I think after that clear and obvious dive, the game started to threaten to go just the other way as we started to get in the ball, and we got into the box. For annoyingly 17 seconds we were inside Celtic's box at one point with the ball. Aribo, Kamara and Ryan Kent doing fantastic work, but none of them decided to hit that shoot button. It was annoying. It was like they were trying to build up a FIFA Street game breaker and they never got it, so eventually went for a corner, and I'm sitting going, oh, here we go. But why Stephen Davis on it? Now, don't get me wrong, I love my boy Stephen Davis, but set pieces belong to Tavernier and Barisic. When Tavernier isn't on, it is Barisic all day, every day, and eventually the corner isn't whipped in with any power or anything like that, and it gets cleared away by Celtic, and that was annoying, and I was just like, right, I even tweeted it, I was like, make sure the next set piece is taken by Barisic, and ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, just a couple of minutes later, it was. And that feeling right there is absolutely amazing when you have someone of Barisic's ability, even when you're up against it, because I'd still say Celtic were in control of this first half. You know, all it takes is one set piece when you've got a wand of a left foot like that man has, and he steps up to take it. I've already celebrated by the fact that he's walking over to take it, and the corner's absolutely to perfection, dipping right near a dangerous area. Balogun gets his header on this, by the way, and he does very well to win it in between the two centre halves. I believe he had a tough afternoon, but that was big when we needed him to be big. Downward header and at the back post. Whoever scored that goal, some people may say, well, I'll tell you right now, ladies and gentlemen, it was none other than the Buffalo, Alfredo Morelos, back post loyal, bing bosh, one each, and the wee man's giving it shushies. He's doing this, he's doing everything we've ever wanted to see, and that was a massive moment in the game for Rangers, and can only imagine how much the plums were plumping in the old Buffalo. And you know what's absolutely crazy? Just thinking about that goal from Alfredo Morelos. We talk about scripts, we talk about stories. We've seen this laddie now be absolutely roasted for years for no getting his goal versus Celtic. But do you know what that man showed with that finish in this evening versus Celtic? That man's just at a different level. His football and IQ, the shithousery of Alfredo Morelos can never, ever be matched, because he let everybody talk for years, ladies and gentlemen, because he was waiting until 55 was won so that man could work his appearances and work his league goals all the way up, so when he gets his first goal versus Celtic like he did today, it also is his 55th league goal. That is incredible, lads. He's playing chess while everyone else in this stupid league is sitting there playing checkers. And you know, son, I'm starting to think I'm in a simulation and this world doesn't exist, because if you look at just the facts and what's happened this season, right? We have 155 when they were gone for 10 in a row. Neil Lennon officially resigned and it was confirmed on the 55th day of the year. Morelos getting his 55th league goal with his first goal versus Celtic. Everything doesn't make sense and it's too scripted, but by God, is it staunch content. But aye, that does make it 1-1 in the game, and yes, it was a bit of a cheap set piece to win as John Joe Kenny just for whatever reason blooters about that way, but 50 yards out for the corner. Don't get it, but aye, he's brilliant anyway, and when you've got the quality Barisic, you know there's a threat. But I think that goal right there took this game from maybe like a sizzling 6 out of 10 in the first whatever minutes, 37, 38 minutes, to then just at another level because everything just started to happen. And unfortunately it's not for Rangers because the next talking point is in the 39th minute where Edouard and El Yunusi link up very well. He ends up doing a dummy, a wee pass inside. He's got another clear shot at goal again, but Hollander does so well here. Can he make it difficult for him? And his eventual shot is very well saved, point blank, by Alan McGregor's. Edouard once again tries to be too cute, tries to put it in between his legs. McGregor shuts that door and he jumps on that bad boy. And just as I'm about to type out the old McGregor moment, we end up going up the park within 30 seconds. It's a brilliant wee floated pass in by our boy Hadji, who didn't have his best day, but again, this was a bit of quality and this is what he brings. First touch to kill the ball, he'd up, chipped ball through to Ryan Kent, and Kent hits his first time on the volley and it's an absolute bullet, and I think it's gone in all the way. But to be fair to Bain, it's a very, very, very good save, because I'm sure if that was Barkas, the Barkas would have cuddled onto the ball and been lying at the back of the net with that. That's how hard Ryan Kent hit that. And that basketball field just continues, because you have one moment where they nearly score and then in 1 minute with us nearly scoring, and then eventually they go back up the park, they get a set piece, and it's a good set piece whipped in by Turnbull, and El Yunusi gets on the header, headers it down, but somehow, some way, Alan McGregor is there again. A wee quick fire double McGregor moments, and it was needed because that was in all the way, but once again his reactions, his positions top notch, and McGregor, another fantastic save. But that was it for a frantic 5 minutes in the end of the first half, and if we're all being truthful, that's as best as the game got and the closest it got to a classic Old Firm battle. That 5 minutes there where both teams were going after each other was as best as it got. But that took us into half time, and I think all of the Rangers fans' perspective was sitting back thinking the exact same thing, smiling for ear to ear that we're back into the game, and smiling that Alfredo Morelos managed to get that goal, because we knew going into the second half adjustments and changes would have to be made, because that right hand side was just vulnerable all damn day. And once again we tweaked it and we changed it, and we did slowly but surely stifle Celtic's influence doing that right to Rangers. So it kind of takes us to the 72nd minute of this game with Ryan Kent, who looked sharp all day. By the way, didn't get involved in a goal, but he was one of the outlets for Rangers. When we looked at our best, it was usually with Ryan Kent involved, and he gets fouled here from behind, and I think every Rangers player stops for a second because they're like, well, that's clearly a foul, but Colm doesn't see it that way, and he ends up hitting a long through ball to Turnbull in behind young Stephen Davis. So, and I'm saying young here because the guy's galloping like Seabiscuit back there, and he does enough to put Turnbull off because his shot is well saved for Alan McGregor. But again, that's all down to Davis cutting him off and shoving him down the right hand side. The boy looked like a 21-year-old just galloping down there, and that was a big moment in the game as well. Now, if you're still watching today's video, we obviously mentioned earlier on that Edouard dived when he was inside the box and he got a yellow card, which is of course the right decision. If you dive as booked for simulation, that is what happens. I mean, we saw Alfredo Morelos get booked for diving when he was clearly chopped by a goalkeeper not too long ago. It is standard. If the referee thinks it's simulation and he thinks he's dived, it is a yellow card, which brings me to the 75th minute of this game, as once again Celtic play a nice ball into Edouard. He tries to flick it by Hollander, but Hollander's just too clever here, and the ball ends up going away to Barisic. But then Edouard just kind of throws himself down, because Hollander and him's like obviously just touched each other in like the shoulders and everything like that. But then Edouard's feet goes up like this, and it's his second dive inside the box, and the commentators are kind of laughing about it and saying, oh, it's a soft one, he's maybe went down there looking for something. Well, if he's went down there looking for something and there's no contact, then it's a dive, and for me, he should have been booked a second time. So for anyone with the balls to sit and greet and say that was a penalty kick and Celtic were robbed and it was a stone waller, needs to have a look at themselves, because he's dived twice in the game, and he should have been sent off. And from that moment for the Celtic attack, that was pretty much it for them in terms of an attacking perspective, because the last 15 minutes, we started to take over the game, and we started to look threatening, not creating clear-cut opportunities, but we look like, oh, the Rangers are going to go ahead and nick this. And I think a lot of that has to go down to Scott Wright coming into the game, especially because Morelos had came off at this point for our boy Kamal Roof. But it was, for me, it was Scott Wright that just looked like he understands it. He's so clever, and that's why I talked him up so much when we were linked with the boy. He really looks an asset, and he was involved in pretty much everything positive for Rangers. Kamal Roof played his part as well. He got very unlucky with a header after Patterson whips in. He tries to header it down, and then ends up trying to get to his own header, but unfortunately ends up knocking it just wide after the rebound. And another counter-attack started once again from Scott Wright. His power, his pace, he nips away from Scott Brown, leaves him in the dust. He's got Ryan Kent here. He's got our boy Kamaru here, and he tries to slot a ball in between the gap, but it's a disappointing ball, I'll be honest with you. As much as I'm talking him up there, it looked like a rusty pass, if I'm honest, because we've not played much football recently, and that's kind of what it looks like. It's just to be fine margins there. It's a pass in behind, but it's well cut out by Welsh, I believe, or Walsh, whatever. And anyway, he passes it back to Scott Bain here, and Bain shows that he is a Celtic goalkeeper right enough as he tries to just boot it away, blooters it off the defender's arse, and it comes back to Kamal Roof, but unfortunately Kamal Roof switched off and turned his back on the play, thinking the goalie was kicking it away like down the park, because it hits off him and goes aimlessly into the arms of Bain. And that there, ladies and gentlemen, was a moment to nick it. And if we had nicked it that way, oh my God, you would have been able to hear the tears from everywhere. But I think that moment right there kind of summarises the game. Sometimes you get luck in football and you need a bit of luck. You can have always the best players, you can have the best team, but you need that luck, and neither side had it the afternoon, and that's why it ended up finishing 1-1. Connor Goldson had a couple of looping headers in the 87th and the 92nd minute, but I wouldn't say they were massive chances. They done well to kind of get to him, and that ended the game of football, where yes, it is a draw with Celtic Football Club, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm not going to sit here and be doing and be devastated at the fact that we just continue this fantastic run. That was a strong ending, fighting performance for Rangers, where we won it best technically, but again, we showed the assets to why we are the champions. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. That is the game recap right there. If you're looking for man of the matches, I wouldn't say anybody in terms of the Rangers aspect really stood out in the game of football. I wouldn't really say anyone on the Celtic side of thing either maybe stood out. You probably look at maybe Alan McGregor, maybe for the couple saves that he had to put in, but I wouldn't say it was a top level performance for any individual. So I'm going to give my man of the match to Ryan frickin' Jack. Yes, he didn't play, but did you see who they actually picked as man of the match? Aye, they picked Scott Brown. So I think my credibility, my validation of Ryan Jack being man of the match matches up with that. But all joking and all that aside, before I go ahead and wrap up today's video, I want to speak about the moment that happened before the game of football involving Scott Brown and Glenn Kamara, where you'd probably seen this, you've probably heard it, it's pretty much everywhere by now, but he walked up to Glenn Kamara, kind of gave him a wee handshake, a wee nod, and said, "We've got your back." And for me, that gesture right there was absolutely spot on. Now, you know, I didn't like Scott Brown, but I can take my feelings about an individual and put it to one side to understand and appreciate what that gesture and what that means, because that there is important. People complaining and greeting that he done it all just for the cameras or anything. Of course he done it for the cameras. Action speaks louder than words, people. It needed to happen. That is a powerful moment. Everyone would have been tuning in to this old firm, watching this game of football, and seeing that is more important than a statement and more powerful than a statement. So I have absolutely no problem with that. This doesn't mean the old firm is dead and buried now, oh, they're nice to each other. No, that's just being a human being. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's us reached the end of today's video. So if you got involved down there in the comments section below, I will be speaking to you very, very shortly. But before we wrap up today's video, as always, a massive thank you from me to thee for sitting here and talking Rangers things with me. That was watching another game of football of the champions of Scotland, Glasgow Rangers. Another reaction done. Can't wait to the next one. Until then though, take care of yourselves. Thank you for watching and bye.